Hello. If you're new to HEMA or just new to original sources, you've probably heard or been recommended the website Wiktenauer. Wiktenauer is an online wiki which compiles many historical resources, including manuscripts, books, texts, and translations of them related to fencing and fighting. It's a fantastic source and extremely valuable to the community. This video will serve as a quick guide on how to navigate the site and extract useful information from Wiktenauer for people who are not yet familiar with the format. I want to keep it short, so I won't go in depth on all of the things that can be done on Wiktenauer, and I will focus on the most popular longsword traditions, those of Fiore de Liberi, Joachim Meyer, and early Lichtenauer, or RDL, or KDF, or whatever. In this video, I'll talk about master and treatise pages and what each of them are for. I will give a breakdown on how to use treatise and master pages, and I will help out with some navigation to key pages of the three longsword traditions that I mentioned before, Fiore, Meyer, and RDL. So first, when we go to Wiktenauer, we go to wiktenauer.com. We're greeted by the main page here. So here is described for us the treatise page and the master page. So as you would imagine, a treatise page is a page for the book itself, the individual manuscript or book, and master page is a page for a master or a person who has written a source. So when we study a source or a tradition, we're not always studying from an individual book, though we might be. Usually it is a text that has been written and copied in many different manuscripts or books. So we can't just say, I study this manuscript and have it be that simple, unfortunately. So let's start with the treatise pages. So the exemplar that is provided here is the Goliath Fish book. So we go to the treatise page, we see a description at the top, the name. This is the catalog number. So we have the nickname and the catalog number. And these also will have, when we get to the master page, we'll see this as written as the Krakow version. So you have the index number, the book's nickname, and then the version which describes where it is being kept, which is Krakow. Lower down we have the provenance, where the book has been the past however many hundred years, and then we have the contents, which lists what is inside the manuscript or book. So here this is set to change, but as of right now, some texts that don't have a described author are still in drop downs on the treatise pages. So here we have Anonymous Dagger, but these are all set to be changed. They will, later in 2021, they will be all put on separate pages, so there's no actual text on the treatise page. And then underneath there we have the gallery, which is scans of the actual manuscript. So the master pages, we have the exemplar is Fiore de Liberi. So we go to Fiore's page. We see, starting from the top, so the name, description of the person, whatever we know about them, description of their treatises, manuscripts or books, and then we have the actual text that we work from. So we're interested in longsword, so sword in two hands. This one has an extra drop down with more categories, which not all of them have, but this one does. So you click on the drop down and you can see the translation, pictures if applicable, and then the transcriptions, which each column is a different version. So you have each of these manuscripts, and you can click on any of the manuscripts and get to its treatise page. And then from the treatise page, again, you can click on the master and it'll navigate you back to the master page eventually. So this is all good, but how do we navigate to the pages that we want? So real quick, we have these on the sidebar here, we have these lists, manuscripts, books, masters. So if you click on the manuscript, you get this nice long list of manuscripts. And if you click on masters, you get this nice long list of masters. And these pages can be fun if you want to just click around and learn something new about a master or a manuscript. But they don't help very much if you're looking for a specific tradition. So I will help you with that right now. So the first tradition we'll look at is Fiore. So it's very easy if you're into Fiore because there's just one page and it has all of his manuscripts and everything, because his manuscripts were pretty much just him and no one else. So you have the Fiore di Liberi page. I guess the thing to keep in mind for this is the pictures. There's 4 different manuscripts. They all have pictures and they all have text. These pictures are just from 2 versions. So if you want to see pictures from the other versions, you'll have to go to their individual pages. And the same with the text. So you can see 4 different versions here. And this is actually 4, you have the translations for all 4 different versions in these 2 columns. So just keep in mind that this is from a different book than this. So don't just come on here and read these, read the translation and assume that this is all from the same book. They're not. So next we have Joachim Meyer. So Meyer is a later master. His stuff came out in the late the late 16th century, and he had 3 treatises, one printed book, the 1570, and 2 manuscripts, the Lund and the Rostock. So most of his material is from the 1570. That was his major book. But the Lund is also there, and the Rostock. So here under the rapier, you can see all 3 manuscripts. So the Rostock is a manuscript and contains many other things. It's like the earlier manuscripts. So you got Ringich, you got Lev, you got Liegnitzer, all this different stuff, and it also has a original rapier treatise by Meyer. So, but in general, the translation on here is not necessarily the best, and it's incomplete. So most people who study Meyer will buy The Art of Combat by Jeffrey Forgang, which is his translation of the 1570, and he also has a translation of the Lund that you can use to, along with this, to triangulate a good meaning. So the third is early KDF, Wiktenauer, RDL, whatever you want to call it. So KDF stands for Kunst des Fechtens, which means art of fencing in German. And Wiktenauer tradition is what it's often called because it derives from this guy, Johannes Wiktenauer. So on his master page, you go under longsword, you got mounted and short sword as well. So under longsword, you can see this poem of rhyming couplets, and this is called the Zettel. And it's cool, but you won't be able to get much from this because it's intentionally supposed to be not understandable. So anybody who studies early KDF or Wiktenauer, what they really mean is they study one of the glosses. So the glosses are, there's a family of glosses that we refer to as RDL, which stands for Ringek, Danzig, Lev for the main versions. So here we have Ringek, Lev, Danzig, and Nikolaus is a fourth one. And then another gloss of the Zettel, which is not related to these, but is a gloss, is from MS3227A, which is a manuscript, and this is a manuscript page. And at the time of this recording, the text of this gloss is still on the treatise page, but again, sometime in 2021 this will change, and this text will be given its own page. So just a couple things to keep in mind about RDL. So you see these drop downs, you see longsword, mounted, and short sword. So these are the three sections of the Zettel, I guess. And while mounted is self-explanatory, it's on horseback. You have longsword and short sword, and to an uninitiated person, you may imagine a sword that is long and a sword that is short. But what these actually refer to are ways of holding the sword. So longsword would be both hands on the handle. Short sword is one hand on the handle, one on the blade. And what that translates to is longsword is sword with no armor. So just 1v1, two people fighting with swords, and with no armor on. And then short sword is armored. So this also includes spear and some dagger as well. So another thing to keep in mind about these are the pictures. Be careful with the pictures. These are from the Krakow version, which, as we mentioned before, is the Goliath. And that, you can see here, came significantly after the originals, 1535 versus 1452. The original does not have any pictures. Lev also does not have any pictures. And Ringek, the pictures are from the Glasgow version, which you can see again here is 1508. So take pictures with a grain of salt, and also understand that not all of these texts have pictures with them. One more thing about Lev, there are several different versions, including versions translated to Latin. So eventually this page will have two different translations, one from the German and one from the Latin. And yes, that will be very interesting and helpful when that comes to be. So anyway, I think that's about all I have to say. Probably said a little bit more than I needed to. But I hope that helps with anybody who has been interested in delving into the original sources, and hopefully now you can be confused by the sources themselves instead of trying to find them. Thanks for watching.